Alright guys, welcome back to another recap. Another green day. I almost didn't make this recap. I had to go do some stuff, came back. Kind of a little bit of a headache, but green day, and so pretty good. Gonna be pretty easy, quick recap, so I just thought, nah, let me just do it real quick and get it out of the way so you guys can see my trades and see that, I'm doing it every single day. So I am locking in $560 today. Last day of the week, so I got green pretty good. I had the chance to make a little bit more money, and then I gave some back towards the end, but I think $560 for today was okay. QNGY absolutely ripped out of the open. I took an early trade on it and then dumped it completely, and then ended up going without me. It didn't really pull back for me enough to chase it, so I ended up just waiting patiently on that one. And I'll go over the trade in a second. So 560 for the day. Guys, like always, if you're new here, hopefully you learn something off of these recaps. Maybe not just today, but you can go watch the other ones. Today's going to be pretty quick recap. Also, I stream live every single day, completely free. I've been going up to 160 viewers every single morning. So if you just want to trade live and learn, come hang out with us in the mornings right here on YouTube, completely free. Other than that, guys, let me go over my trades real quick, explain them real quick, and then you guys can see exactly what I was looking for. So SPRC, I'll go over SPRC first. On this one, I made $275 on this one. Kind of a quick play. I saw this one for the gappers. Kind of popped up, created that high. I wasn't that interested on this one, or maybe this one. Yeah, I wasn't that interested on this one. But started setting up here a nice little bit of a 5-minute flag. It was holding during the first couple minutes of market open. And then when I got that tiny little bit of a dip there, kind of close to VWAP, saw that we were holding it, I ended up buying there. Smaller position because I didn't really see that big volume on this one, so I just thought I'd take a trade, see if it pops up to new high, to pre-market highs. And sure enough, I bought in 114, started popping up, took some off at 21. I got the breakout through high days and then started selling on the other side. And now again, I'm looking for that pullback, looking for the 1-2 minute pullback or a 5-minute pullback down to the pivot to support or anything like that, which ended up doing it here. And as it's pulling back, I was trying to snipe some of these lows here. That's a perfect 5-minute flag. Maybe volume was a little too aggressively there, especially on this flush, but I was a place to buy. Pre-market highs now turns into support and looking for the next leg. But one thing I would like to point out on this one is always look how the stock behaves previously. And if you look at SPRC on the daily, you see every time the stock pushes up, it ends up in a red candles, red candles, red candles. This one again pushes up, a red candle, red candle. Oh, I guess I don't know if you guys were able to see the first one. So right here pushes up, flushes. This day here pushes up, flushes. Right next to my camera. This day here pushes up, flushes. This day here pushes up, flushes. Today, it's pushing up again, and then flushes. So I really wasn't expecting much out of this one, but that's one way to use the daily and see just how does this stock usually end up acting up. And if this pops up on the gappers, there's a likely chance that this thing could fade the rest of the day. So that was that one. And then QNGY. QNGY, I took the very good first trade, first ad, but I let it go too early. I didn't expect this thing to open up and rip like this. So I took the ad right there, small little micro pullback there, looking for high of day, or that was high of day, so I took the pullback after high of pre-market, and then I fully got out of that trade. I don't remember why I got out of this trade, but I wasn't confident in it, and then started pulling up, and this, you could argue that this is, okay, so here's my trades first of all. So I traded through this move here and then through this move here, and this is what I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to delete this so you guys can see. And you can argue that these are tiny little flags, this thing kind of a flat top there, making higher highs like that. That's a tiny 1-minute flag, but if you're trying to scale up and you're trying to punch this thing with 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 shares, you just can't risk it in these plays. If I was to take the trade here with 10k shares there at 235, and this thing easily pulls back down to this previous high or touches back down to pre-market highs, which is 195, you're talking about 30 cents there on a quick little panic flush or something like that. If I'm in with 10k shares, that's instantly down 30 cents a share times 10,000, that's a $3,000 loss. So these are kind of hard to chase. You can scalp them and make some money on it, which is what I ended up doing here. I bought this dip here looking for that previous high to break, ended up breaking, and I sold on that rip. And I think that first trade put me up about $160 on this ticker here. So I made about $160 there. This was a pretty scratchy even trade. This trade here, breakout there, bought this dip here as it's popping up to a new high. I sold it. Let me show you guys that trade there. So there it is. I missed this flag right here over 320. I guess I was looking down to a previous $3 hold number. I was looking for that add down to 3. I missed it. I should have seen this one here. Should have played that one there. There's 3 red candles there, low volume after a nice push. Should have played that one. Then again, I also thought this thing was pretty extended. I think at that point I was looking at the 5-minute chart and I was like, this is pretty extended. It could go, but at this point I'm not going to risk it again. If I'm taking big share size, if this thing panic flushes just a tiny bit, I'm down into a big position. And so I let it consolidate a little bit more. Tries to push up, breaks it high, doesn't break 4. So now at this point I'm looking for $4, right? And I'm letting this thing consolidate and push back. And if you look at the 5-minute time frame down here, kind of look for pivots, and this candle right here correlates with that candle there, and it had a high of 325, so 325. And so at this point I was like, okay, let the stock push up, pull back down, and let's see if we hold at 325. And I said 325, and I was watching 325 on stream, and I was like, if we get to 325 down there, I might take some ads at 325. And this thing pulls down here, and for some reason I thought, you know what, maybe it won't hit 325. Maybe it does this, you know, kind of flags up here and then goes straight for $4. And so I was like, okay, this might go a little too early. This might not pull back to 325. Let me take a starter. And so I took a starter right here at pretty high, like 340. Let me see, 340, 347. And then it pulled down a little bit more, and then as soon as it pulled down, I was like, you know what, maybe this is a place, because it's going to double bottom off of this 338 right here. I was just going to double, triple bottom right there, so I added more, like 339, 340. And then this thing pulls down, and it pulls down right through 225. Now at this point, I couldn't sell. I was down probably $400, $500 on that trade with 3,000 shares down to 20 cents, so about 150 each, so $300, $400 on the trade. And so I was currently up 160, so I went right back down to being red on the trade. And this is actually what you're seeing here, this tiny little bit of a pullback there. I don't know why it wasn't a realized loss, because I never closed it out, but I was in too high. But in my mind, you know, 325 is a pivot. 325 is what I want to hold. So if it holds 325, I'm still in. If it doesn't hold 325, then I will have to cut that trade for a loss. And unfortunately, I was in too high, so if I would have cut it out for a loss, then it would have been bigger. If I would have gone in 325 and broke 325 to the downside, it would have been a smaller loss. Anyways, it holds 325, so I still hold the trade. Tries to push back up. I still hold it. I actually looks like I added to it here. And then took those trades out, or started descaling here. Basically, I pretty much chopped around this whole zone here. Even though I had the right idea, 325 was a dip, I should have added there and held it through here, and then would have basically gotten this push back up. But unfortunately, I ended up selling most of it, so I bought 4,500, I sold 4,500 here, and then bought 2,500 and sold 2,500. So once again, I nailed the dip and I executed it poorly, so I actually got out of this trade break even. And then I tried this one here, and I think here, this is the what I was explaining live, and if you guys go watch my live streams, you can see all of them. If you're going to go back at the spot, this is one where I jumped in on the stock again, pretty aggressively, 5,000 shares, and if this stock wanted to break $4, it had to do it within these 2-3 candles right here. It had to. You know, this thing ripped up with good volume. It held that 368, which I was calling all day long. So 368 here, breaks out of its support, breaks the top resistance, pulls back down. So it had to hold 368. It held it once. It held it twice. It tried squeezing. It tried making its move. At this point, this thing had to squeeze to $4. And at that point, it wasn't a level 2 type of thing. It's more of an experience, intuition type of thing, saying, this stock has to go right here. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to cut it, because I know that this is the stocks, this is the same setups that I see every single time, and this is usually when the stocks ends up going. Yeah, this could consolidate like this and create a little bit of a flag, but after this started squeezing, holding 372 twice, and this started squeezing, opening, and then boom, I was like, it's not going to go. So I stopped out and then flushed right after. So I did pretty good job on that. And then I think some of these trades back here, I nailed a couple of them, but this were smaller share size, 1,500, 1,500. and then 500. So these are pretty much scratch even trades. And then at this point, this thing consolidated too much. I just decided not to mess with it anymore, and I'm glad I didn't, because this had a pretty aggressive flush, and I think it had another one. So it had another one right next to it, but it still held its lows. It still held the lows. So this thing might be another stock that we might be looking at next week, potentially continuation to keep trading. But that's going to be it for this recap. Pretty quick recap, pretty short. But hopefully you guys can still see where I'm buying, where I'm selling, how I'm finding my pivots. If it's still in, even if I'm early, I'm still defending that pivot. I'm not just going to get out of a losing trade. It would have been bigger, but luckily enough that pivot held and ended up coming right back up. But other than that, guys, appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Hit the thumbs up in the video. Leave some comments down below if you have any questions or just anything at all. And I will see you guys live trading on Monday. You guys have a good weekend.